Hello everyone, my name is Dre Cappiello. My pronouns are she, her. I wrote this zine called Wet Ass Politics, and it's going to be going into activism in the communities and misrepresentation. Basically, how any of us can be activists, and there is no right one to be an activist because we can all speak up and advocate for ourselves and for each other. Just a little background information. I am an activist in the Buffalo, New York community. I organize with some of the people here to protest and to activate the communities when there are protests or things like that need to be done, or rallies or any safety things like that. I would like to put pressure on the fact that police brutality is a lot of the reasons why we are standing up for ourselves and for each other, and that a lot of the rioters, quote unquote rioters, and things presented by the media were actually false and were only called rioters because of how the police were glorified during the protests. Police were not taken into accountability when it comes to the fact that they were the ones abusing the public, and they were the ones starting a lot of the problems when it comes to violence. Protests here in Buffalo and other protests in other areas of the nation were fine and peaceful. They gathered many people around the nation, and it was very civilized. A lot of the police intervened, and when they did intervene, they used weapons such as batons, tasers, tear gas mostly, and rubber bullets over here and in other places in the nation. Representation and activism requires people to stand up and speak up. It does not require a martyr or someone important or famous in order to speak up for the public, but it does help. Cardi B is someone that is a rapper. She is Dominican and from Trinidad as well. She is someone that has been very vocal in the community, and she is very vocal when it comes to politics also in the United States. She has a history of sex work, and she is very open about it and has been prideful about it, which I think is wonderful. She is someone that is constantly made fun of by media and by people like reporters on Fox News and other quote-unquote important people that like to misconstrue and also devalue what she has to say. She's someone that I feel is very similar to a lot of the public, a lot of the people that need representation. She speaks from experience, and although she is famous now, I do not like to take away from the fact that she is actively trying to speak up and against the patriarchal society. Like Cardi B, a lot of sex workers have been very active in the community. They have stood up and stood their ground when it comes to what they need and what they want. Sex workers are part of the story about police brutality, but they should be, as they should be. Police regularly target, harass, and assault sex workers, such as trans women of color, and the police usually get away with it because sex workers fear being arrested. Police oftentimes will take advantage of sex workers and other vulnerable communities, knowing that they can get away with what they can get away with. A lot of sex workers do stand up and speak out against what is wrong with police brutality and how they are treated, although they are made fun of because of the work they do. Sex work is work, and there is a demand for it, and there should be respect put on these women, or these in general, the people, anybody that's participating in sex work's name. Sex workers are out here actually fighting against what is wrong, and they do speak out. A lot of sex workers do deserve the credit and like Cardi B, they have spoken up against reproductive justice, police brutality, and a lot of issues that are affecting our communities. Reporters or people like Ben Shapiro like to put their opinions out against women and devalue women and what they feel and what is right. He's someone who has been very open about Cardi B's music and WAP, Wet Ass Pussy, and he has been very ignorant in what he would have to say in regards to women. He said in a tweet on August 10th, as I discussed in the show, my only real concern is that the women involved who apparently required a quote-unquote bucket and a mop get the medical care they require. My doctor's wife, differential diagnosis, bacterial vaginosis, yeast infection, or trichomoniasis. And also, someone replied back and someone said, both me and my wife agree that vaginas are supposed to be dry, which is funny because that's not true. This is something that is due to the lack of sex education in the United States because it favors patriarchal societies, doesn't get shared with people, and wet ass pussy is actually a great thing. But people like Ben Shapiro like to devalue what women like Cardi B have to say, so they just continuously attack them for things that are unimportant rather than actually hearing what she does have to say. Cardi B constantly has to defend herself, and other people like her have to defend themselves when they're overly sexual or quote-unquote overly sexual, when they are just expressing themselves in a natural way. A lot of men get away with expressing themselves in very sexual manners, and they do not get attacked for any of the things that they have to say, just like how Cardi does. Cardi's message is clear: be yourself and not what society tells you, and you can still achieve your relationship goals. The reason why I put this quote in here is because it was brought up that she was bad for women. She was bad for people that wanted to see themselves as valuable women, or quote unquote a valuable woman to their partners in the future. They felt that sex work and things like that, representation like that, would look bad for their families and look bad for the women in their communities. When in all actuality, a lot of the men are perpetuating the fact that they are misogynist and they treat women like garbage. They're the ones that are calling women hoes. They are the ones that call women bitches, and they're the ones that mistreat women in the first place. A lot of men in these communities control women by stealthing and by trigger warning, by rape. They hold women down by subscribing to the patriarchal, white cisgendered, heteronormative ideas that are toxic to the communities, and they blame women like Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and other sex workers alike for their ideologies that are toxic and are actually damaging to the community. Overall, we need women like Cardi B. We need women like Megan Thee Stallion. We need people like George Floyd, unfortunately, even though his death has not gone in vain. We need people to stand up and understand that they are not the wrong kind of activist. You are the right kind of activist. There's no such person that can tell you that you are the wrong person to activate and advocate for yourself and for your community. A lot of people like to push the ideas that they are not good enough, but that is just to harbor imposter syndrome within yourselves, and there is no such person that is right to stand up but then you. If you've been watching a lot of the protests, a lot of things have been going on over the years, which is not new, but unfortunately has come ahead strongly. And this has motivated you to become active in your community. That's awesome, and continue to do that. Don't let people tell you that you are the wrong activist, because you are the right activist. You are the right kind of person to stand up for who needs help, and you can be the greatest ally for those that need the support. Don't let people like Ben Shapiro or these white cis heteronormative people that are abusive to society and honestly don't have any value in their words to continuously bring us down and hold us back. Thank you.